This PSA was brought to you by the Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after the show.
Don't drink the Foster. We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, hi, my name is Peter. Yeah, I want. Here's good.
Yeah.
Adam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on. He likes it. It's showtime.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorce dad, single dad, divorce dad, single dad, Peter G Show.
It is showtime. And what a show it is. Time. Wednesday, June 21st. First day of summer. You gotta love it. Everybody bitches about winter. Now we'll be bitching about how hot it is. Even though it's been funky weather in certain places, believe me, we'll get there. If you're not already there. It gets hot. Some funky weather in different places. Some storms. Lack of sunshine. But believe me, it's not climate change. All right? Don't even go there with me. Not tonight. Tonight we're not going to be doing that. But how the hell is everybody? I want to thank everybody for watching Life with Peter G, the Peter G Show, right here on this little old channel. We're going to have a good show tonight. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to call in tonight, or whoever wants to call in tonight. Normally I do shows by myself at the end of the month, have guests through the first 3 quarters of the month. But being that it was Father's Day last Sunday, I really wanted to take this one, as I enjoy talking about family and parenting and kids and mothers, fathers, in every situation. I do like talking about that stuff. I think it's really important. Love. Something we don't have enough of, as far as I'm concerned, in this world. But I took tonight and we switched it around. And tonight I'm taking it, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to share any Father's Day stories or parenting stories or things like that. And I'll open up the can of worms and start giving you examples and things like that. But that's what we're doing tonight. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't think I do it enough, and I'll probably do more of it in the future. But one day at a time. Hey, Pete. Just had to give my official hey, Pete, to one of my peeps. Solid. Anyway, so that's basically where it's at. We're going to be doing post Father's Day show tonight, and mothers. I mean, I'm talking about it all, but it's giving me the excuse from Father's Day to be able to do this show. It gives me a reason. I mean, I can do it anytime, but it seemed like a good time to do it. We're going to talk about all that. Like I said, the ups and downs of parenting. Were you around to be a parent? Were you not allowed to be a parent? Did you just not care to be a parent? All kinds of stuff. And I hope that somebody will call in and share these stories. And I'll, if not, I'll just talk. Something I'm good at. Although it depends who you ask. But that's what we're going to do. And also, I just want to tell you ahead of time, but next week falls into 4th of July. And then our following show is the 5th of July. And I think July is like a patriotic month. Just, July, 4th of July, it just seems like a patriotic month. And I want to start hanging out and talking about this stuff. It's, where's the hat? I want to take the month and I'm going to start ranting on things because, we're in a predicament. Things are getting tougher. And, the one thing I've learned is, and especially by start doing this show, is as hard as I try, and I do, you just can't please everybody. You're never gonna, Some people love me. Some people think I'm a friggin' idiot, and they tell me that, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm good with that, because I talk about things, and you can't always talk about things that people are going to agree with. But So the 5th of July, the following, not next week. Wait, let me back it up. Shit. Oops. Next week. I'm telling you, I need a producer again. I'm producerless. Next week, June 28th. I was telling you that I swap shows. Normally, the last show of the month I take by myself, but because of Father's Day and post Father's Day, it's all me. So you're stuck with me tonight. Sorry, not sorry. But next week, we're going to talk about relationships. All right, relationships and dating, because I have dating coach Evan Mark Katz. He's going to be on the show. He's a pro. He specifically only deals with smart, strong, successful women. There's a lot of women that make a lot of money and they're so busy working and this and that, they have a hard time finding the right mate, and they don't want to just hook up. They want a relationship. I mean, I think everybody wants a relationship. I think everybody wants to be happy and be with somebody and be happy, but it doesn't always work that way. And, I just say, well, you got to keep your soul charged, and so you go out and date, and sometimes you have bad luck. And I know a lot of women that just give up. They go, forget it. I tried a couple of times, it was horrible. But he has a whole different outlook on it. He's full of information. Although he does cater to higher earning women and things like that, he's sharing a lot of his knowledge. He's going to be on the show Wednesday, June 28th, and he's got a big reputation. Like I said, he's a dating coach for smart, strong, successful women, and he's going to share his knowledge. He's been at it a long time, and I think you'll be. I think you're going to like it. I mean, for men and women both learn. I learned something. I mean, I always learn something, but I had my opinions. I threw a few things at him, and he countered with me. And again, he's not about just hooking up. It's about. All right, I got my. I have always specialized in the crazy ones. Yeah. And you live to tell about it, so you're doing good. Speaking of commenting, all right, this is okay. So Wednesday, June 28th, next week, Evan Mark Katz, dating coach, going to be on this show. You're not going to want to miss that. And then again, July 5th, it's all going to be me. I'm going to go back into my rants about what's going on with our lives, this country. Whether you believe or not, what's going on is good or bad. I'm going to talk about it. And I'm probably going to do it all month because it's July, and July is a very patriotic month to me, and I want to start talking about more things like that. And I'm hoping that you'll interact and start making these phone calls when I ask you to, and say what's on your mind. It's I don't mind. I the hour goes by quick, but it's good to hear from people, and I'm going to start bringing that back, good or bad. We'll see what's happening. But anyway, it's next week. Speaking of commenting, all right, here's what's happening. I made a big mistake years ago, and I started doing the Peter G Show on 3 different Facebook platforms. The problem is, as we've progressed, and the show has grown, and we're multi-streaming, and now you can see us on like 11 different live platforms. If you're commenting during the show, which I need to check. If you're commenting during the show and you're watching from my, let's say you're a friend and you're watching from my private Peter G. Gisella's page, or the Peter Gisella's page, I can't see your comments live. It's hard enough for me to keep track of them anyway sometimes, but I have to wait until the show's over, and then I'll see it the next day or something like that. And you might have had something pertinent to say. So listen, I'm going to start weaning. I'm afraid to do it, but I'm going to have to do it, because I'm going to start eliminating 2 out of 3 of the Facebook channels. And if you're not signed up on the official Facebook Peter G Show page, number one, you won't see the show, which could be a good thing for you if you don't care, or it could be a bad thing because you want to watch and say, hey, where's Peter? But number one, that's because I want to be able to see your comments. So, or more importantly, I would really love for you to go to the YouTube channel and just go to the official Peter G Show page and hit subscribe. It's free. Then I can see your comments. The Facebook page was great, and I'll always post all the short clips, but I think I'm going to start turning those channels off, and I know I'm probably going to lose some people, because I noticed that back in the day when Howard Stern went to Sirius XM radio, and I figured he was going to make a killing and people were going to follow him and all that, but some people just didn't. I was kind of one of them. I just didn't go and get Sirius XM radio. It was convenient because it was where I was in LA. It was on one of the local radio stations, and I just tune in. And the minute he made it uneasy, which really isn't that hard, but that's how we are as humans, If you don't put it right in front of somebody's face, they don't eat. And so I know I'm probably going to lose some people, and maybe some people go, hey, where'd Peter go or whatever, but I'm going to start taking my 2 other Facebook channels off the live streams, and you won't see the full shows. You may still see all the short clips during the week, but only because I want you to go over to YouTube and subscribe. I need to start consolidating. I'm spread all over the place, plus the 26 different, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the audio podcasts. Which is fine audio-wise, but visually, I want you to go to YouTube if you can, and or both, the official Peter G Show page on Facebook. Not to mention, I'm on LinkedIn as well, and BitChute, and TBL Talk, and Rumble as well. So, but when it comes to commenting, I want to see you. That's my whole purpose. Let me get back here. I'm taking my time tonight. I don't care. We have no pressure as to what pace we go on tonight. So, but do that for me, please. Okay. I really would love for you just to go to the YouTube and subscribe. Let's get that channel built back up, and then you can tell me whether I'm good or bad live. I can take it. I already get it from the peanut gallery. So let's do this. All right. What else we're doing? All right. So here's the deal. I'm going to start getting closer to talking about Father's Day and parenting and all that stuff. I think I've done everything, right? I think I have. Yeah. All right. So we're going to start getting into this. But first, I cannot start without a word from my good friends over at Clean Star Products with their DX1 driver fuel additive that saves you money on gas, and you know how expensive gas is. So do me a favor, stand by. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Hello, I'm Tyrone Thompson of CleanStarProducts.com. This is DX1 Driver in the news, and here's what our friends have to say.
So I'm here to recap on the DX1 I've used. I put it in oil and I put it in the gas. While I'm using it just for about 3 tanks. Cleaned everything out. I got every ounce of power back in my truck.
When Jared's truck was new, it had a lot of power. Then over time, it began to slow down. He got it all back with our DX1 Driver program.
Something you got to see for yourself. It's a great product. It's affordable. And it blows all the other additives and esters out of the water.
DX1 Driver is the finest oil in the world from a California environmental company. It goes into the fuel system and the oil. It's the only green grade product qualified for the carbon credits program, giving you better fuel mileage, lower emissions, and increased horsepower. So join the fuel savings revolution today. Go to CleanStarProducts.com/shop.
That's right, Clean Star Products. Let's face it, folks, gas is expensive. I said that a minute ago. Cars are super expensive. So take care of your car and save money in fuel. Save up to 10% in fuel if you just put in this little bitty bottle right here. You add it to your clean oil change. Lasts the whole oil change. Then every time you fill up your tank, you put this little bottle in your tank. Cleans out your fuel system. Less friction, more lubricity, lower emissions, more horsepower. You name it, it works. And it passes California air emissions and all that baloney that they throw at us over here. And if it can pass California, it'll pass anything. It works, people. If you want to talk to the good people over at Clean Star Products, just go over to www.cleanstarproducts.com and ask them whatever questions you have. They'll speak to you. I mean, they're really down to earth, and it just makes sense to save money in gas. I know personally, because it's not cheap over here, folks. So go and do that. Tell them the Peter G Show sent you. That way they know I'm doing something. All right. Thank you. With that being said, let's take a little sip. All right. Woo! Smooth. All right. So, one more thing before we start off and get into my major subject. I want to start off with a little laugh. I just grabbed this video that I saw the other day because it made me laugh. There's been a lot of talk with these aliens, and I don't know if you're watching, but that a craft crash landed in Vegas, and Hispanic people, in their backyard, and they saw the whole thing, and all these these creatures are 8-10 feet tall. Well, I just want you to watch this little video here, and then and then we'll talk about it real quick, and then we'll shift gears and get into the whole post Father's Day thing. I just wanted to share this with you because now that the subject is hot, a lot of alien talk going on, people. So I do believe eventually we're going to be looking at everything in a whole different perspective. But just check this out, all right?
Pranking my boyfriend with a fake alien invasion. And here he comes. Just waiting for him to press play. He's so confused.
And good morning. We have an NBC News special report of breaking news coming from the U.S.
I kind of figured since all this alien and UFO talk, this would be a perfect time.
This critical message is being delivered by the emergency alert system. This is
Oh
not
no,
a
baby,
test.
the aliens
We
are
interrupt
coming
regular
to
scheduled
invade.
Programming to notify you of an imminent threat to national security and public safety.
He's so scared. He picks up the phone to call his dad.
The U.S. government has issued a national emergency for the continental United States, effective until 11:59 p.m. The following message is transmitted at the request of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. There have been multiple sightings of more than a dozen unidentified objects of unknown motive and origin.
Listen to what his dad says.
Dad,
are you watching the news?
Around the world. These unidentified systems
Dad, put the news on.
are around 1,400 feet long.
Dad,
stone-like material.
There's unidentified fucking objects flying around. Dad, there's fucking dead aliens and fucking UFOs and shit. It's on the fucking news. Put the news on, Dad.
Endanger civilian populations. The United States.
No, I'm not fucking.
Here we
crap. Dad,
go.
it's on the fucking.
Got him.
And that's why the government doesn't tell you things. That is exactly why they keep secrets. People panic. I thought it was funny. I don't know what you think. It ain't gonna be so funny when the time comes, but the thing is, you see, that's just one little example. People are going to start shitting their pants in panic, especially the way our media is. They thrive on catastrophe, panic. That's what makes the news. They don't want to talk about puppies and lollipops and all that stuff. And that's the problem. So people, and believe, like I said, I have learned so much during this pandemic on how gullible and that brainwashing is real. And again, this is where I go at odds with some people. And I know, and I don't mean this in a mean way. I really don't. I don't mean this in a bad way. It's unintended brainwashing, but that's how come they call it brainwashing, because you fall for it. It's just like a gag. You fall for it. But if you tell a lie long enough, over and over and over again, it becomes real. That is a fact. We're living in it. Lots of them. But anyway, when things like that happen, for real, or these things, whether they're staged to start freaking you out, distract you, or it's real, and it will be one day. You think we're the only ones in the whole universes? It's, there's too many unexplained things, like pyramids and stuff. It's like, ain't no guy that can't even, drive. They didn't even have cars or cranes that are going to build those things. So there's some explanation for it. We just haven't been told it yet. Anyway, that's why the government keeps secrets, just for that. because people are going to shit their pants and panic and just start freaking out, and there'll be havoc. So we're going to drip on people a little at a time, hopefully to maintain some kind of sanity when things happen. But anyway. All right. I just hope you enjoyed that. Don't mention it. Don't mention it. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I want to talk about Father's Day. I want to talk about parenting. I don't get to talk about it a lot as much as I started this whole show because of that. And I'm going to read something as I'm walking. I walk almost every day, 4 or 5 miles. I know you can't tell, but anyway, I try. And when I'm walking, I think about a lot of stuff. And so I'm going to set up a little intro. And I'm hoping after I read this, you'll take it to heart, and maybe somebody will call in and comment. If not, I'm just going to tell you stuff. It's just the way it is, And if I were you, if you're smart, you'll call in so you don't have to listen to me. But that's, but I digress. But I'm going to read a little something, and then we'll just take it from there. And then I got a bunch of different subjects got a bunch of subjects on the subject. And then we're going to, either you'll call in or you won't. And I'll just, I'll tell you about personal things. I don't mind. But it'd be nice to hear from the viewers. Anyway, being a parent isn't easy. It's a selfless job or commitment you have to make, and many don't or won't. Some don't realize a lot of mistakes or bad calls until later, or it's too late. Don't get me wrong, because nobody's perfect. Everybody's perfect. No, nobody's perfect. But a lot of people bring children into this world and really don't realize what they've, got themselves into. It was fun at the time. Kids are a lot of work and responsibility, and you can't just give them back when you're tired of it. And that's where things start to break down. It really is. And neglect and or bad parenting starts. It really does. When the thrill is gone. It's tough, depending on how many kids, depending on the kids. Some kids get raised all wrong, and by the grace of God manage to survive and make their way with as little damage as possible, considering the mess that was needlessly created for them, and grow up, with irreparable damage that they carry throughout adulthood, if they even make it that far. It's just plain sad. Now, some children are genetically easier to raise than others, even if they have siblings. You see it all the time. You have the devil child, and then you have the angel child, both in the same family. It happens. It's hard, but what do? Sometimes things change over time, for the better or for worse. You never know. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try to be a great parent, good parent, bad things happen that you can't control. Some children stay within the lines and some don't. Many parents, whether married, single, or divorced, are there every step of the way, even at great sacrifice of their own. And some parents aren't as present, or even completely gone, not around, for their own selfish reasons. Which one are you? What parent were you, or weren't you, or should have been, or regret not being, or are okay with that? Or tried and still had the hardships, the hard luck. It happens. All the time. I've lived it. That's how this show started. Me going through the struggles of divorce and having a child that I adored, my one and only. I wanted to be around. I was forced into not being around and then fighting to be around. Well, they never said I couldn't be around, but they just, it's this going before the government to make your decisions for you because you and your spouse or sibling can't get along enough to make it on your own. So you have strangers making decisions for you. But that's the way it goes. And I was part of that whole project that whole system, got thrown into the system, spent $1 gazillion, and did the best I could, which was better than some people. But it was painful. It worked its way through eventually, but it was hard. It changed me. It pushed buttons in me that I didn't even know I had. But for the sake of the love that I had for my child, no matter, whatever it takes. And if it meant me giving up something, or it meant me not being able to do this or that, major change in my life. And that can throw you for a curve. That can make you drink yourself under the table. Nobody likes that shit. But that's the way it was. And I did the best that I could with the hand I was dealt. But anyway, this is how it ends up with a lot of people. And a lot of people, it's like, why me? Why me? And if you love your children, I mean, all kinds of things happen. I mean, the stories are endless. But of the way things go. Some people lose children. Unimaginable. I want to say I can imagine. I can't imagine. And then you're tore up from the floor up, and what's going to stop you from going into self-destruction? When you need to keep it together, regardless of what happens. It's tough. But here's what we're going to do. I think we're going to open up the phones. 818-259-7983 if you want to call in and share a story. If not, or until the phone rings, I am going to talk about stuff. Got plenty of stuff to talk about. Parenting, Father's Day, being a good parent, Mother's Day, whatever. I just happen to, right now, I'm going to talk about using Father's Day as my excuse for this show, which is a good excuse. But 818-259-7983. Share, people. Again, it's all about love. I can't say it enough. My life has changed, and because when that little baby came out, everything in me changed. I wasn't really a bad person, but a door opened up that I didn't even know I had, and my soul just became a sponge for that child. And I mean, I think everybody loves their children, or you should, even when they drive you nuts. But I can honestly tell you, even to this day, and I just saw her earlier, when she walks into a room in front of me, or when I talk to her, especially when she's in front of me, even when I'm on the phone, though, I'm a different person. Not a different person, but I become malleable. Something about her just makes me into not completely. I don't want to over-exaggerate, but my demeanor changes. There's no doubt about it. I could be screaming off the top of my lungs about something, and she walks into a room, and I just change. Because she is nothing. I see her as this just glowing mass of a human being of love. She's a good kid. She's 17 now. It's crazy. But she was, you know what I mean? But again, if you have children, you probably feel the same way. You should, even if they drive you nuts. Now, again, I dodged a bullet. She, from a child, an infant, was this old soul who just really didn't give me many problems. And kids should at that age. I mean, that's all they know how to do is cry, and, they don't know right from wrong and all that stuff. But she was cake. I tell this story a lot, because it's the only story I have. But there's always new people coming in, and again, until somebody calls 818-259-7983 to share their stories, good or bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It happens. I'm just going to go down and talk about things. And so I kind of, after all the crap I was going through divorce-wise, because my ex was just throwing me she just kept throwing fireballs at me. That's what anger does, for no real reason either. That's what anger does. Not going to get into that. We got through it, but it was a waste of time, and God knows it was a waste of a ton of money, both on her end and mine. At the end of the day, nothing changed. Everything was the same, which it should have been. I was given 50-50 custody, and she just wasn't having it. That's what you do when you're pissed off. but I survived it. Okay. Hair got grayer, lost a bunch of it. That would eventually happen anyway, but she just sped it up some. But my child, through all this, and believe me, it was brutal. Not as bad as some, but it could have been a lot better. My child survived it because she has, for some reason, her personality, her persona, her soul has this little something more than maybe some kids that was able to just more rationally hang in there. And she's got a lot of common sense as a young, she's kind of like the more sensible one out of the group, so to speak. And don't get me wrong, I am constantly throwing things at her. You know, I'm not I just heard this word, a helicopter parent, somebody who hovers over their child. I love when she's around. I love her being around because I love being with her. I love hanging out with her. And she still doesn't mind hanging out with me, which is odd. You know, and I'm very, very grateful and thankful for. But I am constantly talking to her. Well, even when we're in the car, we don't really listen to music and things like that. We talk. And maybe I'm a broken record, but I'm constantly throwing scenarios out at her because it's life. And she might still have to learn those lessons, but I want her to be familiar with what I'm telling her about scenarios, things going on, driving, all that kind of stuff. I am constantly, I tell it out of love. I don't want to be the nagging. I'm not a nagging parent. I'm a informative parent. God knows I'm lucky to be alive. I mean, back in our day, we did a lot of crazy shit. We did. From a young age. It was different times, but it was still stuff that shouldn't be done. Let's just put it that way. Still stuff that shouldn't be done. And now you got kids growing up with the fentanyls, and this is, a death sentence. Partying, like experimenting. I had some guy commenting because I was talking about fentanyl, the fentanyl deaths, 300 a day in the United States. 300 a day. Some are homeless people. Some are, drug addicts and homeless people. Some are just drug addicts. But a lot of them are children, young teenagers playing around, learning, but experimenting, trying things, thinking they're doing one thing and getting another, and they're gone. And it's sad. That is the saddest thing that's going on right now to me with this whole drug thing. There's no experimenting. It's a death sentence. And I had some guy, and he's, high and mighty. He's like, if you touch any kind of drugs and you touch anything like that in the first place, you're a friggin' idiot for even touching drugs, whether they're lethal or not. I get it, Sherlock. I totally understand. But I guess everybody's not as perfect as you are. I don't know what you did when you were growing up. I'd love to know. But not everybody's that perfect. I'm not. I learned. I'm still here to tell about it. I know the difference about when to not do something and when to do it. But every once in a while, people touch their finger to the fire. Now, whether you continue touching your finger to the fire, repeatedly, or you say, hey, that's hot and that burns and I'm not going to do that anymore. That's the difference between clever and stupid. But it happens. And believe me, there's a lot of people that keep on touching their finger to the fire, and they're somebody's child. And sometimes parents don't even know what's going on. Or sometimes they do, and they're good parents. But what happens when they walk out the door? You can't keep them tied down. You can't. And I have people that I'm very close with who've lost, and they're good people. But you could be an asshole and you could just blame. It's like there's no, but you need a little bit of compassion because life is full of choices, and that's how you grow. I think the fact that I did, the things that I did in my life, good and bad, is what has made me who I am. Good and bad. That's your opinion. I'm sure that, like I said, I got people that are continually, telling me what an idiot I am when I do this show because I don't tell. The beauty of it is, so long as I'm telling you things that you agree with, I'm your best friend. But if I go outside those lines and talk about something that's against your beliefs and this and that, then I'm an asshole. George Carlin said it. So I'm kind of stealing his line because it's so true. George Carlin was what a creative genius of a comedian. He talked about life and it was real. It was the truth. And I can't. Again, I try to do some of my homework. I try to do my homework. I when I talk about things, I get a gist of it, or a good rounded piece, and I bring it out there. And if I don't have all the facts and you want to start debating me, which nobody does, all the people who are against what I say just call me names, and that's what they do, and that's that. You can't get them to come on. Never. But if they want to do that, then I'll bring in somebody who's well-versed at the certain topic. I have a whole arsenal of people that I could bring in to really get in deep if that's what you want. But, I do all kinds of shows. I can't be, I have to dabble. I can't spend all my time vested, into the rabbit hole of each subject. I try to grab pieces. I am not a headline reader. I'm way beyond that, which I'm telling you, the people that argue with me the most are the headline readers. They read whatever the media puts out there, and that's the truth, and that's the fact, and anything else is stupid. Headline readers are dangerous because they do no research, they do no homework. I get it. We used to trust the media. You can't trust them anymore. I don't want to get into the whole politic thing, but we're talking about parenting. So you're trying to be a good parent, and you try to do the best you can, but it's not always that easy. And sometimes bad things happen to you or your children, and no matter how hard you try. But I'm not the guy who I changed a lot of things in my life to be around my daughter. And I started from less than zero going through all this stuff. And here we are. Where are we? Remains to be determined. But here we are. Doing the best I can. And talking about it because I realize that a lot of people need to be enlightened. A lot of people want to talk about this stuff, but just don't. And you hold it up inside and, you explode. And sometimes people need somebody to talk to. People don't have anybody to talk to. So whether you're just listening to me and agreeing and going, you know what, yeah, I can relate, or you are, disagreeing with me and have a different story, which you're more than welcome to call in at 818-259-7983 and tell us about it. I'm just going through the gamut of the variables, and I can't reach them all. But, then again, you got some people who bring kids into this world, and they're just shitty parents. They're not that great. They shouldn't have been parents, but they were too busy hitting it, and they brought kids into the world. And the ones, and I got those that have been on my show too. And it's like they didn't learn their lesson the first time. They went and knocked up some other baby mama or vice versa. Women and men, they both suck or are amazing. Even Steven. Great women out there and there's great men out there. Shitty women out there and there's shitty men out there. That's a fact. But you got some people who just don't learn. They don't learn. They go and bring kids in and then they go bring more in. And they're not around for any of them. And then they go, oh, you don't understand. And you're right, I don't understand. Were they, what happened with their background? I mean, I had parents. I'm very, very blessed with that. They weren't the worst parents by no means. They were kind of middle of the road. They gave me some room to hang myself, but they gave me breathing room. But then when there was times when they had to clamp down on me, and they did. My mother couldn't handle it. She brought in the little old Greek. It was tough at times, but those were my parents, and they loved me, and I loved them. But they cared. It was a different time. Just different. And they did pretty good, I guess. At least I think they did. I mean, at the time when I was growing up, I disagreed with a lot of things. But now, growing up as an adult, we did, they did what they had to do because, it was in my best interest. And they did. Believe me, there was times my mother and father, I looked at them and going, how the hell did you guys get married? Because they'd be at each other's throats. It's like, holy crap. But they hung in there. Two opposites. But that's good in a way. At least it was for me. I got some of this, a lot of this from my mom, a lot of this from my father. So they all had different things to contribute, being a parent. But you got shit parents too. And, I just got to bring this up because it just happens to be there. It's right in front of all of our faces. Our president has a son. This is a prime example, who had an illegitimate child with a stripper, Hunter Biden. I'm just using this as an example because it's right out there in the open. And this is, it makes me crazy. He had an illegitimate child with a stripper. He had a little girl. No fault of the child's, but he doesn't want to have anything to do with her and the stripper, the girlfriend he had while he was out smoking crack and all that kind of stuff. But he had a child. And, you've seen it in the news. They're having custody battles and not custody battles, but child support battles. He doesn't want to pay a certain amount of money, and that's always going to be a battle. I don't care who you are. But the bottom line is they don't acknowledge. Our president of the United States talks about all his other grandchildren. 6, I believe. But they don't acknowledge this one little girl who's 4 or 5, something like that. They don't acknowledge her, which is shameful because it's not this little girl's fault, okay? You don't want to have, big giant, come on over for dinners with the mother or this and that or for whatever reason. But there's a child that he brought into the world. And then, okay, you're an idiot, your son's an idiot, whatever. But you, as a grandparent as well, too, should say, you know what? I know it's not the way it should have been, but that's your blood. That is your blood. You did this. You need to step up. I can't imagine. I mean, I do. I see people. I know people. I mean, I know lots of people who lost their parent, father, mother. Let's talk about fathers since it's Father's Day, especially from a little girl. Sometimes they want their daddy. They want their mommy too. Don't get me wrong. I'm telling you, my daughter was very even Steven. She loved us both equally. There wasn't I really don't think there's one more than the other. But a lot of little girls do it's the same thing with little boys, and you tend to lean towards your mother or stuff like that. But it's pretty even Steven. But having a child longing for where's my daddy? Now, some pass away and don't get to have that opportunity. I know a bunch of people. They lost their father from a young age, or mother, or whatever. Cancer, accidents. It happens. My mother lost my grandfather. Her father died when she was 11 years old. How much do you really remember at that age? By the time you become an adult. I mean, I know you remember some things, but you forget a lot of stuff. And you'll never have that experience. A very close friend of mine, he lost his father at 11 years old. Lots of people have. Mothers, too. So here you got these children longing for that person. And yet you have that person that's around. I'm still talking about shitty parents right now. That's somewhere around and doesn't want to have nothing to do with you. I can't tell you how pissed off that makes me. You got to wonder, what happened in that person's head? What went wrong in his upbringing or her upbringing? I know lots of women who have abandoned their children. Kind of find it hard to believe, right, ladies? How you could give up your kids? But I know lots of people who found a new boyfriend and just dumped the kids in the father's lap. It's shitty. 818-259-7983. That phone is not doing anything. I got plenty, believe me. I got tons. Would love to hear, whether you were brought up single, parented, or had a hard or great childhood, whatever. Share me a story. Do me that. God, time's flying. I'm going to end up trying. Here's what happens, because this happened last month. The minute it gets close to the end of the show, I turn off the phones, and then the phone starts ringing. I ain't answering, folks. I'm telling you right now. We've got about 10 more minutes of phones, and then I'm turning them off. But, again, I'm on the shitty parent thing because it's easy to talk about the love of good parents. It really is. But this is what gets me wrong. In all Chicago's, Maryland's, all these places that have these high, San Francisco's, you got all this high crime going on. And a lot of it is, it's not diversified in the races. Let's face it, there's a lot of And they don't tell you this, or they do tell you this and you're not listening, but like in Chicago, it's a lot of black on black crime. In Maryland, same thing. And again, there's good and bad in every color and race. I say that a million times. You're never going to, I don't give a shit. The ones that will ever call me a racist are friggin' idiots too, because they don't pay enough attention. They just, again, headline readers. They'll catch a short clip of me saying something and that's all they know. And they're going to go, this guy's an idiot. That's ignorant for not doing your homework. You want to attack me, fine, but you better do your homework, or talk to me in person and tell me that. A lot of crime going on. You see it. San Francisco, they're closing down, businesses, stores, malls. They're just robbing everything. I guarantee you, these kids that are going in and doing this, where's their fathers? Where's their parents? They're all young teenagers. 20 and under, 13 to 20. Where's their parents? I don't believe this stuff would be happening if there was parenting going on. I just don't. I don't. And then they, blaming, everything but the real getting to the root cause. It's like, again, just like going to the doctor. I had Dr. Michael Johnson on a couple of weeks ago, and he's a natural medicine doctor because he believes that a lot of our, conventional medicine doctors, you go to that they're great for emergencies, surgeries, things like that, acute, medical situations. But if you go there because you have something chronic, like there's something bugging you and they can't figure it out. And so they just give you a pill to cover over it or something. They just throw pills at you. And they don't get to the root cause. That's his big pet peeve. He believes that he finds ways to get to the root cause by looking, unconventionally. And this is the problem with raising children. Nobody's getting to the root cause of why these kids are out doing this in the first place. They shouldn't be doing it because they should have parents that should be sitting on them. I know it's hard. If you're working, it's tough. The struggle. That's the thing about, being a father or being a mother, trying to juggle single mother, single father. Nowadays, even a working parents both have to work just to pay the bills. We'll get into that next month about how people are surviving financially. My job isn't over. I mean, she looked at me not too long ago and said, Dad, I'm almost 18. I'm fine. And she is, but not in my book. She'll be 40 and I'll still be coaching her. I'm no genius. You can laugh now. But I'm pretty sensible. My father was very, very old school, and my mother. I'm not them. I'm pretty well-rounded. I think that is what makes it a little bit easier. My father was hardcore old school, and they did the best they could. And they did good. But I'm a lot more open-minded. I don't tell her a lot of things. She figures it out. I mean, it's funny because she's at an age now that, they talk about the same shit I talk about, except we just don't talk about the same stuff in front of each other. We play stupid in front of each other. But, she's at that age where they talk about sex and drugs and everything else, and but I just still kind of try to keep that fine line, except when it comes to fentanyls. And it's like I told her, I said, I don't want you taking even an Advil from somebody you don't know or don't know where it's coming from, out of what bottle. And honestly, when I believe that she won't. I got lucky because kids are kids. Yeah, no problem, Dad. And they go out the door and they're doing what kids do. It's just too dangerous nowadays. But parenting, raising these kids, it's a huge sacrifice. If you're a selfish person, you're going to be a bad parent. You have to be able to say, you know what, I really wanted to do this, but I need to do that because it's more important in the long run. It's an investment you're making in that child. My daughter was away over Father's Day weekend because she had a horse show and she was showing with her trainer's horse doing something different. Anyway, the bottom line was people were going, hey, what are you doing for Father's Day? She didn't get in until later in the afternoon, and then she had to put away a bunch of stuff. I mean, she was beat. We had dinner together, but we didn't do anything special. It doesn't matter to me. Every day should be Father's Day or Mother's Day. It's a gift. And my gift is she's doing well. I couldn't ask for anything more than that. She tries. Doesn't matter if she can't save the world or doesn't save the world. I'd like her to. Every parent, I think, has high aspirations for their child. I don't think anybody ever had a child and said, man, I can't wait till my daughter grows up to be a crack addict. I don't think anybody's ever said that. Everybody wants their child to be a, back in the old days, it was like the goal was to be president. I don't think anybody wants that title anymore. But you want your child to do well. That's just human nature. I'm super proud of my daughter. But again, the only reason I'm talking about it is because that's all I have to talk about. I know lots of people have great kids. I was hoping you'd call. I should have known. Here's what we're going to do. I'll give it 4 more minutes, and I'm turning that off. I don't even know why I bothered, but I'm going to keep doing this. And there's going to be a show where I'm just going to sit here, and I'm not going to say nothing unless somebody calls. I think it'll be kind of funny, but hopefully you wouldn't put me through this torture. But or maybe I'm so friggin' interesting that you just don't want to call because I got tons of good stuff to say. It's a good possibility. Still rather hear from you. The reason I started this show is because I felt I had things that need to be said and should be heard. I don't always. Sometimes I step on a landmine, but majority of the time, I mean, the law of averages, not bad. Consider I don't have people who write scripts and not directing me and producing me. It's all coming from within. I think about these things a little bit ahead of time, but it's all coming off the top. Why? Because I lived it. I love what I'm talking about, and it's really easy to talk about. But parenting, you got me, and then you got some people are assholes. I said it, I don't know, a month ago. Some people are just assholes. I don't know what happened in their life, but they're assholes. And they become, I guess God has a sense of humor. No, it's not even, that's cruel kind of, but they have kids. They're assholes and they have kids. So then they're assholes to their kids, and either their kids grew up as assholes too because that's what they know because they grew up around being with assholes, or they figure it out at a certain time and going, God, my freaking parents are assholes, or my dad's an asshole. I don't ever want to be like him. It happens. God bless the kids that can draw the line, and that takes that common sensibility that not everybody has. Some people just fall prey to it and they get mentally beaten down, or physically and mentally beaten down. And I mean, it's tough. So how do you end up as a child, or how you end up as a child, and how you carry yourself and figure it out is how you grow into an adult. And you can grow up to be a mess. And look around you. I guarantee everybody who's listening to me knows that they got friends and people and that are just a mess. And they survive, but you're like, I can only take so much of that person. He's a mess. No matter what you tell them, because it's already been instilled. It's already been burned into their brain. And at that point, they shut down. They shut it off. They just figure, well, that's just the way I am. They stopped trying to better themselves. A lot of people are like that. I never stop. It ain't easy. But I am continually, every day, waking up, thanking God that I woke up, and the universe, however you want to do it, whatever floats your boat. But I do it. I figured it can't hurt anything. And I am constantly trying to improve. It's not easy. And you may notice, I don't, that's a problem. I can't really tell the difference. But at least the thought in my head is there. And I'm always constantly trying to do better. I want to be better. I want to be better for me more than anything. So I can be better for my child. So I can be better for you. So I can be better for everything that has to do with my whole universe of people that are around, that I'm in, that you're in. We're all in this together. So I'm hoping a better me helps shine to be a better you too, and vice versa. We give off from each other. I've learned to have to walk away from people. Some people that I love very much that going, you know what? You're just not gonna, you just want to stay in that mud puddle. you're happy in that mud puddle. I don't want to be in that mud puddle. I know maybe I dabbled in that mud puddle before because things were just different. But as you grow and you get older, time is flying. And sometimes I feel like, you know what? That's a big distraction now. It was great at the time, but things change, you know? And I don't want to say that I've like really, because some people, you know, when they get on with me, I got some close friends that completely disagree with my beliefs, my thoughts, because again, the world is changing, and I've had to get more involved in it. I used to not care about it because I was doing great. We were out doing our thing, and life was good. But I'm involved. The minute I hit the go button on this show, I threw myself into an arena that I knew was going to be full of opinions. And you can't win them all, but I got involved, and so I have a lot of some close friends, not a lot, some close friends that go, man, what the hell happened to Peter? Number one, Peter hasn't really changed. Peter has grown. Things are basically, the world has changed, which, you know, I've had to make some adjustments, but I really haven't changed. I'm still the same. You'll have to ask people who've known me since I was a kid. I think I'm pretty much that same person, give or take on a certain day. But in general, I'm pretty much the same person I was at 15. Internally, my humor, stupid jokes I tell, you know, the way I think about things racially and non-racially, actually non-racially, because I like to tell racial things in a good way. There used to be a time when you could talk about things in a good way, not demeaning. And I still like that kind of, but now the world has gotten so sensitive and you know, and I really don't care. If you know me, you know what I'm saying. I try to watch it a little bit here because the world is, again, you know, everybody's gotten pussified, but I keep on doing what I'm doing. I wish I could, you know, I like funny. I like jokes. And sometimes you got to say things a certain way to make it all make sense. But again, it's definitely not in a mean, you know, I would never. But the world has changed in the way we talk, and I'll bend to a certain degree. But there's a certain degree where I'll stop and I'm going, okay, you guys are full of nonsense. Like, you know, we'll get into that next month with all this talk with, you know, pronouns and all this crap. Everybody having to live, you know, to satisfy somebody else's fantasy. Not for it. But again, I don't think I'm a bad person. I try my best to be a good parent, do a decent relationship, but it's hard. It's really hard. No matter what, no matter how hard you try, you're bound to stumble. The key is getting up. All right, folks. Again, I am turning that sucker off. Anybody calls right now, which is the this is how it always ends up. You know, it's no phone number. Doesn't matter. I like talking about this stuff. I will always talk about this stuff. I'm proud to be a parent. It's still tough. It's still tough. I still make choices about things, but things that I have to do. No, I can't. I really want to be doing, I need to be doing this. I think my child will be, you know, grown. I mean, grown with children, and I will still, you know how it is. I don't think I have to explain. For the parents who give a shit, the people who have hearts, who have souls, I don't even need to explain this. But unfortunately, it's for the ones that, you know, have stumbled and gotten lost as being a decent parent and, you know, worrying more about their self than taking care of their children. Those are the ones I'm hoping to reach a little bit, I hope. But Father's Day, to me, is not a big deal. Every day is Father's Day. Mother's Day, again, it's a day to give recognition, but if you're only good for that one day, or you only get, you know, you're only a good parent or get recognition and your kids don't appreciate you, you know, every day, something's wrong. If they're going out of their way just because, oh, it's Mother's Day, I got to go do something. It's tough being a parent. Look, I don't blame people for crash and burning, but at least if you're trying, you got my whole vote. You know, because I know parents that are great parents, but they're struggling in life financially, you know, time-wise, working, mentally, it takes a toll on you. I totally get it. and you want to be better, but man, you're just like, how can I keep going? Hang in there. Hang in there. Just keep loving. Just teach your children love, and we need people to be a lot more understanding, not pussies. The difference. We are I'll get into that next month. Our generation, this up and coming generation, I'm scared to death because everybody's offended with everything. Again, I believe in the parenting. What the hell happened? That's where those are the people I need to talk to. The ones that are raising the weak. You don't have to be tough, but we're raising a generation of pussies, and now we're going to get stompled upon until everybody gets beaten down, and then we start getting some people that grow up knowing that they got to get their feet, their hands dirty and start manning up, both men and women, and become men and women. Anyway, that's how it goes. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I still had stuff, and I can always tie up stuff again. But at the end of the day, I'm very grateful for my parents and what they did for me. I miss them every day. They're not here anymore, but I'm sure you know that. If you don't, I'm telling you. I think about them daily, every day, all the time. Lots of room in my head to think about things. I'm grateful for what they did for me. And I try to be that times 100 towards my child, taking what I learned from them and what they did for me. And times are changing. Again, the world is different. I'm a different person. I am not my parents, but I'm a product of my parents. And, I owe a lot to the way I am, good or bad, because of them. Now, obviously, I'm my own soul, I'm my own person, and it's just like learning to play drums. I learned from a bunch of different drummers. Lots of good stuff, from Led Zeppelin to Phil Collins to Rush to, Steely Dan's, whatever. I am not those bands, though. I took a little of this and a little of that, and it made me my own recipe. I like to think I'm a individual and a good individual due to my raising. So I do the best I can. I hope you do the best you can. And, you can write me later like most do. And I'll, read your comments and all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to talk about parenting, something I could always talk about. I'll never stop talking about it. It's important. Parenting is priceless. Good parenting. You only get one big shot at it, and it's a long deal. But at the same time, you realize how fast the time flies. You do. I was talking again, being Father's Day. I was wishing some of my friends, we kind of got into divorces at the same time, and we've been friends a long time. We have kids that are give or take a year or a few years younger or older. Well, a friend of mine's daughter just finished college. I'm going, shoot. I felt it was just yesterday we were at Chuck E. Cheese, doing birthday parties. So it's important. And then one day you're old, and you hope that those children you poured your heart and soul into will give a shit enough about you to not let you rot in some corner when you're unable to take care of yourself. I know plenty of kids that look at their parents and they're going, what do you want me to do? They're old. And it's like, really? Now, I don't judge. I wasn't around when they were getting brought up, but I know a lot of kids that were brought up crappy, and they don't give a shit about their parents or didn't give a shit about them. I give a shit. I'm so thankful for what I've got. Always working to be better. I hope you're always working to be better too. Speaking of better, I'm going to leave you guys. I want you to remember next week, dating, relationships. Dating coach Evan Mark Katz is going to be on this show. He's a pro. He coaches strong, smart, successful women on dating leading to marriage, not just hooking up. He's got a lot of great stuff. Next Wednesday, June 28th, Evan Mark Katz, dating coach for strong, smart, successful women. Going to be on this show. I know you're going to like it. And like I said, July 5th, but we're going to go into July after that. And it's going to be Patriot Month. Oh, yeah, I'm going to bring it. Like it or not, I'm going to bring it. So I'm going to be talking a lot about our country, our current events. I want to. Got to get it out of me. It just builds up all the time. Don't forget, please, please, please like and share. Go to the YouTube channel and just hit subscribe, okay? Please. I'm going to be cutting down some of these channels. I want to start consolidating. YouTube, I need you to go over to YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe. It's free, people. It's free. Just go do it. Cut to the chase and take a second. Doesn't take but 30 seconds. Get on YouTube, look up the Peter G Show, and just hit subscribe. It'll tell you when the shows start. Now, you don't get to see the short clips there, but for the main shows, please, I would deeply appreciate it. And don't forget, if you're busy, I appreciate you watching the show, but you're driving and you still want to pay attention, Google Peter G Show podcast. You can easily just put an earbud in your ear and hit the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I don't know. You know what they are. 26 different platforms we're on. You can take the show on the road. You can listen to it while you're driving, while you're at work. Work is boring. Tons of shows, tons of subject matter. You can listen to the Peter G Show on the go. But I love when you watch. I really do. So just do that for me, okay? And that's about it. So we're going to leave, and that'll be a good thing for some people. Are going, oh, thank God. Or that was a good show. I'd like to think it was a great show. But when I leave you tonight, I'm going to leave you with a little PSA from Rodney Norman, comedian Rodney Norman, a little summertime PSA. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed what I had to talk about tonight. It really meant a lot to me. I hope it means a lot to you. My name is Peter G. I love you guys. I do. I want to hear what you think, good or bad. Write me, comment. Peace out, okay? Here's Rodney. I'll see you guys next week.
Well, hello. All of us wish that all our days could be full of lollipops, sunshine, and puppy dogs. And that would be pretty awesome. But you just got to remember that sometimes too much sun can lead to dehydration and the sunburn, possibly carcinoma, and you dry out, dehydration. Then lollipops, you eat too many lollipops, you get diabetes and heart problems, and then puppies, of course, they poop and pee all over the place and then chew up stuff, and then eventually turn into dogs, and then at some point in time they get hit by a car, or they run off, or like a neighbor turns you into the local authorities saying, their dog's always going loose, and then you say, my dog's not ever loose, and then they come and they take your dog, and then you find out she's like friends with the dog catcher and stuff, and then they charge you, and becomes a big... So what I'm saying is that things are pretty awesome, and you should enjoy them while you're having them, but even those things, eventually won't be that awesome. And the things that you think aren't awesome, they become awesome. Because you get really cool stories about how you hurt yourself and got a cool scar. So the things that we think are cool aren't all that cool later on, and then the things that we think are horrible are actually really awesome because they're great stories. So stuff's just what it is. It's good. So it's all... What I'm trying to say is, even when you fall and hurt yourself, or experience pain, difficulties, and heartaches, that life is just enjoy when it's good, and just acknowledge when it's bad. Just go, okay, well, eventually this will be a great story, and it won't be so bad. And scars are cooler than tattoos, because they always have better stories other than this. I was drunk one night and got this tattoo. All right, so my point is well, I have no idea. Just enjoy your life, have a good time. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. Okay, we'll see you around stuff. Okay, bye.
Peter G Show. Peter G Show. Divorce dad, single dad. Divorce dad, single dad. Peter G Show.